special summon this card. If
I
this card is
didn't
banished,
hit the
you go for a
record
different
button.
card. If this card is banished, special summon something from your deck, right? And so, as a result, this card is actually still limited, as a matter of fact. It kind of like went up and down, like sometimes it was at 3, but for the most part, it's still limited, and one of the best decks at the current moment is a deck that you can activate this and banish a monster, and it has an immediate effect when it's banished. So you get like added value, because not only do you get like the effect, but then if that card like stays banished, then in 2 turns, if the game goes that long, you can add the card to your hand anyway. So it's like extra value, just like for absolutely free. Plus, there's no once per turn on this card. So if you had 3 of it and like you open 2 of them, you can like do both of the effects like of like whatever gets banished. So it turned from delayed value into immediate value, which is why the card had to get limited and is still limited to this very day.
That is a blind spot. I'm mildly salty. I don't think we have anything like that in Magic.
You have
That's
nothing
like
that triggers like on exile.
Yeah, if you exile it, you get thing now or benefit now. I don't think we have anything like that. We have a lot of things that, like, when you discard it, do that, but not when it's exiled. So I'm mildly salty on this one. This was a left field one.
It was, and I thought that's why it'd be fun to show you, because I feel like it'd throw you off quite a bit. So the exiled zone is like our 3rd hand, if you will, for some decks. Not all decks like use the banished pile, but some decks, like, it's instead of using the graveyard, they use the banished pile as their like 2nd hand. So, all right, next card.
Get the notebook.
You're getting the notebook. Gotta write that one down.
It's been a minute. It's been a minute since we had a new entry in the notebook.
I thought you would have just back. I thought you would have just shredded the notebook at this point, to be honest with you.
I thought with all the, it's got a lot of damage from being thrown at the wall. But I thought with all the summoning stuff done, I wouldn't have to write down. Banish is 3rd hand. Okay. What do we have? The command zone next? Okay, whatever. There. Note taken.
Good.
What else?
I'll let you know for this next card, you can ignore the first sentence.
Thanks.
I'm helping you out.
Yeah, it's such a guy. Marco Cosmos is... What?
Macro Cosmos, not Marco Cosmos.
Dude, this is Marco. These are his Cosmos. He's a trap in and of himself. All right. Macro Cosmos is a trap card. When this card is activated, you can special summon 1 Helios the Prime. Oh, I don't care.
You can ignore
While this card is face up on the field, any card sent to the graveyard is banished instead. Oh, you guys like your floodgates so much.
This is a continuous trap card.
This is an awesome card. This card should have never been restricted. Shut these degenerate graveyard scum down. Lock them out. Make them play an honest dragon attack each other game. That's what I say. This card is totally fine.
That's your answer?
This card is the good guy. 100%. Let's see. But, of course, the softies at Yu-Gi-Oh! Couldn't handle their graveyard.
Oh, God, you're going to be insulting a lot of people.
They can take it. I mean, are any of us card gamers out there, are any of us still, like, disillusioned that we're the good guys?
That's fair.
We're great. All right. So, this card got restricted. I do get why. It is obviously an important part of so many decks to so many players. Did it have to stay limited?
Great.
Did it have to stay limited? This is another one where this one has 2 factors that make this tricky. First is, while the format gets bigger, the graveyard gets increasingly busted, which means there's more graveyard decks that this could be helping against if this were the good guy. But we already know it's not the good guy, or it wouldn't have been limited. So this gets more busted as the format gets bigger, which means that they're more likely to keep it limited. Similar to the, really buff veiny dude we saw. And on the other hand, it's a trap card, which means it got slower. And we've talked about, nobody plays traps anymore because it's slow.
Unless it's like a deck that is like supposed to be a trap deck, which is like the exception to the rule. Yeah.
This doesn't seem too slow to me.
Okay.
This seems like it would still get played. Yeah, I mean, you go first, you set this, you flip it on opponent's turn, and you just kind of told me with the other trap card there aren't that many ways to just stop it. I mean, there are ways to
I
destroy
will
it,
give
but-
you an asterisk here. Macrocosmos is more interactable because it's a continuous trap. So any sort of spell and trap removal can destroy it, whereas with Magical Explosion, it's a normal trap. You'd have to find a way to negate it immediately, because otherwise it resolves and just goes to the graveyard. So Macrocosmos sticking out on the field is susceptible to removal. So I could go flip Macrocosmos at the start of your turn. If you have a way to destroy it, like not negate, but destroy, it's way more susceptible to destruction, whereas you can't destroy Magical Explosion. The effect still resolves, if that makes sense.
This is also a magic card. This is Rest in Peace.
Okay.
I guess the only difference is Rest in Peace, you play it, it immediately exiles all graveyards.
Oh,
this says, while this
interesting.
card
So
is face up,
just...
any card sent is banished.
Oh, wow, so it does both. That's crazy.
Yeah, Rest in Peace exiles all graveyards, and anything that goes to either graveyard is exiled.
But it's
and
not
exile
an instant,
is not
right?
a second hand in Magic. It's an enchantment.
It's an enchantment.
Like
so it's similar,
trap.
but like you can't use it because like one advantage of Macrocosmos is like if my opponent does something that's going to like send something to the graveyard, right? Let's take like Dark Grepher, you know. So if they activate Dark Grepher, they still get to discard the card. Well, actually, no. They would summon the Grepher first, and then you can flip Macrocosmos like in response. And so now, if they were like going to Dark Grepher, now like they can't, right? So like you can sort of like gotcha them with this card. Where like Rest in Peace, with what you're describing, you play it like it's sorcery speed. So it's like it's a little bit different in that regard, I would say. But for the most part,
I'm gonna magic verbiage at you and the audience just a little, but those who know. I've done it in a few of my videos. Like a deck I play a lot in Standard lately, I play a card called Temporary Lockdown that exiles all things on the battlefield that are 2 mana or less. So I'll play the Rest in Peace, exile the graveyard. I'll play Temporary Lockdown to put the Rest in Peace under the Temporary Lockdown. And then when the opponent goes for their graveyard combo, I'll use a card to remove my own Temporary Lockdown to unlock the Rest in Peace at instant
so
speed.
funny.
Get 'em. So I build my own trap
you can
card.
build your own Macrocosmos in Magic. Got it. Okay.
Yes. And God, is it needed. It's needed, man. Oh my goodness! Like Graveyard Hate in current Standard is almost is main deckable in Best of One, which is crazy. It's crazy we live in this world.
It's so interesting. I think there's only one card in Yu-Gi-Oh that I can think of that, like, when you play it, banishes all cards like currently in the graveyard.
Wow.
There's a very old card called Soul Release, which does 5, and you can do your graveyard as well. So like, there's some combos there. But I think the only one I can think of is Ruddy Rose Dragon. Yeah, Ruddy Rose on Synchro Summon, banish all cards from the graveyards. Yeah, that's like the only card I can think of that like just immediately does it.
That just instant nerfs the graveyard.
Yeah, like there are cards in Yu-Gi-Oh that can like banish a singular card, but like, and there's like, those are pretty, like, I wouldn't say they're like all over the place, but they're pretty like uncommon, if you will. Like there's no shortage of that type of effect. But going after, like, the whole graveyard, like, there's stuff like Macrocosmos that can, like, deter the graveyard, but, like, going after the whole graveyard is actually kind of rare, I'll be honest with you.
I mean, yeah, you guys would hate it. You guys couldn't handle it. You'd be angry. You'd be shredding cards in the street. You'd be losing it on the internet. It would be over. Yeah, we can't have that. So can we have Macrocosmos in 2025? That to bring it full circle. I don't think you like this is the card where it's like, okay, why would they unrestrict it? They restricted it for a reason. Things only got worse. I'm gonna go with logic number 1, which is this thing only gets better over time, therefore you can't unrestrict it. Also, I'm gonna go a little meta, and you're gonna tell me why I'm wrong, which I'm gonna learn something. It's gonna be great. But they did restrict the Abyss Dweller, right? Or they banned it.
They banned Abyss Dweller. Abyss Dweller's banned. Yeah.
Yeah. So right? So why would they, like, if this are unrestricted, would they be banning Abyss Dweller? Okay. I don't think so. So we're gonna say this is still a limited card.
So something you may have missed with Abyss Dweller, though, is that it is a card you play from the extra deck, which means you theoretically have access to it at all times, because it's like your 15-card command zone, if you will. Where Macrocosmos, you have to like hard draw it or have a way to tutor it, which there's very few ways to tutor like trap cards specifically, unless it's like a deck that's like trying to do that. Macrocosmos has been like, the good guy and the bad guy, because obviously Yu-Gi-Oh! Has the graveyards as a second hand, so it's really good that Macrocosmos has the ability to like shut down the graveyard-based decks. Back in the day, there was actually macro decks because there were cards, for instance, that said if this card gets banished, you can just re-special summon it back out to the field during like the end of your turn. So they called these macro decks because they always got this recurring advantage if Macrocosmos was active, and then you could like do stuff like tribute that for a monster or like do other stuff with it. And so like it not only stifled the opponent's ability to play, but it like net benefited you because you were taking advantage of the banished pile. These are kind of the cards I was referring to earlier, like with Gold Sarcophagus, but those cards are like much worse comparatively, like by older Yu-Gi-Oh standards. Anyway, Macrocosmos is actually at 3 copies right now. It only recently got to 3 copies within like the past couple years. I want to say like 2022, maybe 2023. But in any case, it was limited for quite some time just because it is like a very unfun card where it's like, oh, my opponent flips Macrocosmos. I can't play the game because my deck is like unplayable without the graveyard. So it was limited for a while, but it's back at 3 now. It's kind of like what you said with trap cards. It's just kind of slow. If you're going first, like, and you set it up, cool. There are ways to answer it, but if you go second, the card does nothing because your opponent probably already set up their graveyard and probably already has like some stuff in play. So going second, the card is really bad. And so people would typically kind of relegate this card to the side deck so that games 2 and 3, if they knew they were going first, they would bring in Macrocosmos as a way to kind of like hose their opponent. But card hasn't really seen much play coming back to 3. So it's kind of the good guy, if you will.
I think so. I'm kind of surprised they limited it in the first place, but there you go.
I think a lot of people are, but it is kind of annoying because it's like, you know, again, floodgates in our game are just like really debilitating compared to your game. So I think they kind of banned it on principle for that.
Heaven forbid anybody ever tell you can't do something for free. Oh my gosh. Spirit Reaper. Let's see. It's a dark monster. It's a level 3. It's got 300 attack and 200 defense. It's a zombie. It cannot be destroyed by battle. Oh, that's cool. After resolving a card effect that targets this face-up card, destroy this card. Okay, so any effect that targets it by either player destroys it.
For the most part. There are some exceptions. I'll get to that later if you want to know.
When this card inflicts battle damage to your opponent by a direct attack, discard 1 random card from their hand.
Hand destruction.
Discard?
Hand destruction.
No. Oh no.
This is a test, CGB. This is a test.
Oh no. And everything has haste.
Everything has haste. So on an open board, you can just summon Spirit Reaper, attack your opponent for 3, and just rip a card out of their hand. Yep.
It has to be an open board, though.
Well, yeah, true. So for context on the resolving the targeting effect, there are some cards, for instance, that might say, like, target a monster on the field, flip it face down, right? In that instance, Spirit Reaper doesn't destroy itself because it's not face up anymore for the effect to like resolve for it to destroy itself. So like that doesn't work. But for the most part, everything that targets, which there's a lot of stuff that targets, will kill Spirit Reaper like straight up.
Yep, dies to everything.
Dies to basically everything except battle, notably.
Has to get through a wide open field. Only attacks for 300. So if I understand, anything with 350 like defense if it's in defense position or you know,
walls it off.
Like almost anything can just bounce this. Like you have to really clear the way. I feel like everything we see that isn't designed just to be thrown into the trash is bigger than this. This looks like a baby in current
It also
standards.
does have to attack directly. So even if it attacks something with like 0 attack, it still has to deal a direct attack. That doesn't work.
Yeah. So
But it's hand destruction, CGB.
It is, but I don't think so, man. This doesn't look like a scary card in current Yu-Gi-Oh, is it? This doesn't look like it. I can't imagine too much of this going on. I also like just play your hand. Like this.
That's true. That's very true.
This is so bad. Like if you just played out your hand because of Spirit Reaper, like this looks like you're down a card on board because this doesn't do that much. Do I?
It seems like you did, but now it sounds like you're second guessing yourself.
I mean, it's scary if you're able to like get 2 of these and then clear the board and hit the opponent and they lose 2 cards. That probably feels like you won the game. But but at this, like, why don't you just play something big and take their life total like down by a million? Obviously losing cards is really bad.
Sure. So remember in our game though, card draw and like regaining cards comes at like a premium, right? So effectively, even though it's only doing 300 damage, if your opponent's down to like no cards, it's like you've won the game essentially. And at that point, it's just inevitable that you just need to put their life total to 0. Because if they have no cards, they can't play. You have to keep that in mind. We don't have stuff that just says draw 2, draw 3, draw 4 all the time. Like, it's like card economy is very important in our game.
Reminds me of Hypnotic Spectre.
Okay.
A lot. But Hypnotic Spectre had evasion. And it didn't die to any spell. And any hand trap hits this.
Well, it's funny because you have to think this card was limited at some point. The question
is, it's limited because it's so sensitive about their hands. Not my hand. No. Oh no, my hand. Nah, it doesn't feel like a current limited card. I imagine that with the power level of current Yu-Gi-Oh, I bet there are things that you could do to like clear a board, get out 2 or 3 Spirit Reavers, hit, you discard 2 cards at random, and now for the next like 5 turns, you're just waiting to die because you're up 2 or 3 cards and there's no way back in. But I also think that if like there's 100 things you would have lost to if you couldn't stop Spirit Reavers from hitting you. Spirit Reapers. If you couldn't stop these little babies from hitting you, you would have lost to so many other things, I think. I'm just thinking about the monsters you've shown me that exist in Yu-Gi-Oh! Too. So I'm going to go with this is fine.
Final answer.
Yeah.
So in old
Yu-Gi-Oh!
Never learning. So in old Yu-Gi-Oh! Spirit Reaper is a menace. If we ever actually like play more old Yu-Gi-Oh! You'll learn how actually crazy this card is. There are instances where like even if Spirit Reaper hits you once, you feel like you're like out of the game, like just straight up. Like it just losing a singular card feels that bad off of this card. So a lot of like old retro decks would play it. That's when it was like limited because it was like at multiple copies, it was like even better. Very tutorable as well. But you're correct. By modern standards, this card is very bad. I just wanted to see if I can get you with the hand destruction part because I know how that part triggers you so much. Anyway, here's your next one.
Into the void. Cards on cards.
I love anytime there's cards on cards, I love it. It's so meta. It's great. Does Magic do that? Totally. Is there any like Magic cards and Magic cards in the art? Not
in a real Magic set. No, in maybe like some of the LOL products that they make, like unsets, but not like this. All right, if you have 3 or more cards in your hand, draw 1 card. And if you do, during the end phase of this turn, discard your entire hand. Oh my god. This is what you have to do to draw cards?
Yep, this is what we have to do.
I mean, it barely replaced itself.
It replaces itself.
All it did is replaced itself, and then you lose your whole hand at the end phase.
Well, like you said, just empty your hand. Like you said, just empty your hand. Then you don't worry about it.
I know, but like what did all it is a cantrip. It's just you're 1 card closer to whatever combo
That's all
you're trying to build. I think this card, I can see the point. The point is you basically have less cards in your deck.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay.
And then when you limit it, it's like, oh, well, now if you draw it you only have 2 cards in your hand, it does nothing. Did that get better or worse over time?
What a great question.
It seems a lot. Like my first thought is it's a lot worse if you have hand traps and you had to discard them all. Nice one. That doesn't seem good for you.
Okay.
That seems very bad. Yeah, the more interactive you have to be, the worse this is. Because this is just go for it, put out a board, and get there. Like make your board unassailable or win that turn.
I'd agree. Yeah.
So does a deck with 3 of these, is it significantly more threatening in like that combo sense? It does dig you 3 cards deeper. Say that you have 3 of these, right?
Sure,
and you actually draw them, and you're able to cast them. It digs you 3 cards deeper to the setup you need, and then you kind of have to go for it that turn. Either you win on the spot, or whatever you do is unassailable. Your opponent is locked out because you're passing with no hand. You're open to whatever they can do. That seems like it got worse over time. Generally speaking, though, like just free cycles for cards get better over time, and when power level goes up, typically speaking, the ability to OTK, the combos get better, the locks get better. This is a tough one because
I know it is. That's why I picked it.
Yeah, this is an interesting one because Yu-Gi-Oh has definitely evolved into this point where like every card is a force of will or something like you've said it a few times in our games together. Like you have 20 force of wills.
Basically, yeah, that's what hand traps are.
This is not good in that situation, but you don't have to play it in a situation you needed to hold up and survive another turn. You play it in a situation where you
Whoops, my turn's over.
And if your graveyard is a second hand, then discarding your hand back in the day maybe wasn't the cost, but now it's like being empty-handed and passing is probably a death sentence. So this is an end the game type effect.
You're torn on this one.
I am, because part of my instinct is that
I figured this one would be interesting.
Yeah, part of my instinct on these card draw effects is they get better over time, but then like the description of the format just isn't very good for this. There's a card in Magic called Street Wraith. Street Wraith is a 5-mana 3/3 Swamp Walker. That's it. Except for this line of text that says, pay 2 life, discard Street Wraith, draw a card. And you can activate that at instant speed at any time.
Okay, so you could theoretically just cycle it at 4 times. You get 4.
Yep. In theory, you could just give up your 2 life and get deeper into your deck whenever you need to, and just play this 3/3 Swamp Walker. And in formats that got older, at first, like people started running it more, especially in a deck where having your life go down was actually a good thing for you, is where Street Wraith saw a lot of play.
Okay, interesting.
But then like the pressure on each card spot and the ability to be interactive just got like worse. And then Street Wraith kind of like balanced back out and then wasn't played as much
because
anymore.
Like each individual card had to be like, you couldn't just play a cantrip. Like in each card just had, so funny enough, Yu-Gi-Oh has actually had a very similar trajectory to that.
And so now I'm like, is this Street Wraith? Card draw is a lot rarer in your game.
That's true. That's a big difference.
Does have a limit to it. I feel like it has a deck. I feel like Into the Void has a deck where it just, where it's trying to just do it this turn. You know, the little swerve is going to be like, if you discard this card, something good happens for you. Like maybe you get these things in your hand and then discard them, and that's a good thing. You get an effect when they're discarded. There's also on-board monsters that like can interact with the opponent, although a lot of them say discard a card to do it, but not all of them. I feel like Into the Void has a deck. The question is, do we need to nerf that deck? Is that the deck that needs to be held down? Free is good, card draw is good. I'm gonna stick with it. This card's still limited. I'm gonna stick with that.
Final answer.
Yeah.
So Into the Void basically saw no play when it got printed. It took until 2020, 2021, 2022, somewhere, maybe even earlier, maybe like 2018, 2019. There was a deck that was basically just trying to draw the entire deck in order to OTK the opponent. And like that deck does it. So one thing you have to understand with like when it comes to hand traps, and I say like how every deck has like 20 force of wills. That's usually the case. However, sometimes Yu-Gi-Oh has combo decks that they forego any sort of like interacting on the opponent's turn, because if the combo deck gets to do its thing and is consistent enough, it's going to win the game. And so these decks don't play any of the hand traps because they're just focused on consistency and trying to just do the thing that they're trying to do. So Into the Void slots into that type of deck very well, because it's like you said, if you do the thing on the first turn, you don't care about discarding your hand. And it's very easy in modern Yu-Gi-Oh specifically to dump your hand and like do a bunch of stuff, and like you won't have a hand anyway at the end of doing like your long combo or whatever. So Into the Void's downside basically is negligible. So theoretically, Into the Void is just 3 cards to cycle deeper into your deck to find the combo pieces to be able to just like win on the spot essentially. So much so that they had to limit Into the Void, and it is still limited to this day. You are correct. You got it right.
Okay. That was a toughie. That was a toughie.
That was a tough one. That was a tough one. And they are only going to get tougher. I got 2 left for you here. People are going to be very excited for the last one, but the second to the last one is also very interesting. More card draw.
One day of peace. Well, we can only have one of them because
only
only one day of peace. Let's be real. This is a spell. Each player draws 1 card, and neither player takes damage until the end of the opponent's next turn.
It's one day of peace.
Yeah, it is, but come on, man. Come Come on. Nobody's using it for that.
What do you mean?
This is all like, I'm going to do the combo thing again.
Okay.
This is all just like draw cards and yeah. Also, I'm sure nobody likes tracking all this neither player takes damage stuff, especially until the end of the next turn. So if you play 2 of these in a turn,
they don't stack.
It doesn't stack. Okay.
No. But you can play a 1 day of peace. The turn cycles, you can play a second 1 day of peace on the next turn.
Could just keep doing that. You are giving up cards.
You're giving your opponent a +1. Yeah, so like, again, that's not very good.
But you are digging through your deck, and this gets played in decks where they're going to try to combo outside of combat, and they're guessing that their opponent relies on combat. Seems like that's a pretty common Yu-Gi-Oh thing. I mean, this is definitely my kind of card. And
I was going to say, I feel like you would like this
Magic.
one. Yep, I feel like you'd like this one.
These things have existed in Magic and have rarely needed to be restricted or banned, but when they do, it's like, oh, yep, that makes sense. That has to go, 100%. So, in modern Yu-Gi-Oh, if you're playing 1 day of peace, what is happening? What is your deck doing?
What is your deck doing?
It's gonna,
great question.
Yeah, it's gonna be another like combo out. It's gonna be some kind of a combo, and this is just another way of like trying to dig 3 cards deeper. In that way, it works in the deck that Into the Void works in.
Theoretically,
the question, Yep. The question is, giving your opponent that card, is that going to punish you? Are they going to get the hand traps they need? And this is where, if in Magic, we would have cards that lock you out of the opponent's turn, like lock the instant speed interaction out, those kind of floodgates. A card that says your opponent can't cast spells this turn would be like.
I remember you showed me like Silence, and that'd be the most broken Yu-Gi-Oh card ever.
If you guys don't have Silence, then there is more of a risk to it, but the risk of them drawing exactly the interactive piece they need versus the trade-off of you getting a better consistency to get the combo you need. The biggest problem I have right now with 1 day of peace is I would in a vacuum say that this is still limited in Yu-Gi-Oh! Because of the way card draw is just so good in your game and the combo decks are the way they are. But you showed it to me right after Into the Void. So you know I'm coming off this either going, yep, I knew it, card draw has to be protected in Yu-Gi-Oh! Or I'm coming it off like, oh my god, you guys restricted the worst cantrip ever. How could this happen? And now you're showing me this one, and it's like this one looks so obvious. Well,
would I ever trick you like that? Would I ever do such a thing?
Must be limited. And yes, 100% that is what you would do. 100%.
This is the best part about you and I doing like 30 videos together, is that now it's like, it's not even about the card game, it's about the mind games more than the actual game itself.
You wouldn't show these to me back to back. You would put one at the beginning and one at the end and hope I'd forgotten if they were just both limited. There is no way. You're hoping you're like he's gonna be clouded. He's not gonna see the one thing he may have missed. And the thing I may have missed in the past is either player, all right? When each player draws, card draw is so good that actually going neutral to give the opponent another hand trap to interrupt you, it can be a bad thing. It's a very bad thing. And also, dragging the game out, neither player taking damage until the end of the opponent's next turn. That is a bit of an issue, too, because you're going down, you're giving them a free card, and now you're saying we're going to play a longer game? You want to play a longer game down a card? Okay, well, I see through your lies. 1 day of peace is not a limited card anymore. It's totally fine. Nobody plays it whatsoever.
Final answer?
Yeah.
So initially, the reason why 1 day of peace got limited, as a matter of fact, this is also a very old card. I think this card got first limited in 2012, 2013. The reason this card got limited, as a matter of fact, is because of Exodia, if you can believe it. So what you could do is you would play like a deck that just draws like a billion cards, but if you don't have Exodia, you can't win the game, right? But you can 1 day of peace, it draws you a card deeper into your deck, and now you know you're not going to die. And so with 3 copies of this card, you theoretically have 3 extra turns to assemble Exodia. I believe at the World Championship, at the year that there was one player who played an Exodia deck, and I think got like in the top 8 of the World Championship, he was playing 3 copies of 1 day of peace, I'm almost certain. And so that was like part of the reason why the deck worked, is because you have 3 extra turns to like do stuff to actually dig deeper into your deck in case like you just don't get there on the very first turn, which is what a lot of Exodia decks
Sure,
try to
I'm
do.
out of stuff
As
to
the game
search.
has aged, you talked about like how do you win without like dealing damage to your opponent, right? Well, when I referenced the combo decks with Into the Void, what combo decks essentially try to do is one of two things. They either try to deal 8,000 plus damage on the very first turn and like just kill the opponent straight up, so it's like an FTK or an OTK, kind of like Magical Explosion, or they try to summon a bunch of monsters that have built-in negation effects, so that in theory, if you have 5 to 6 negation monsters on your field, your opponent only has 5 to 6 cards in their hand. Maybe they use some hand traps to try to stop you. If you can 1-to-1 negate every card that they have in their hand, next turn you just turn all your monsters into attack position and just kill them for game. That's what these combo decks aim to do. And so like there is a world where One Day of Peace can like help you establish that combo, so that way it's like, oh, you don't kill them with battle that turn, but on the next turn they can't do anything anyway, so then they're just gonna die. But it is another cantrip, like you said. And it's still limited. I got you. It is still limited to this very day.
Mother God.
Anyway, we have one final card. One final card. He's tilted now, so he's definitely not going to get the last part.
Called by the grave. The art is great.
The art's great.
Or these, dude, these other two are just not even paying attention. This guy, me? Yes, you. Me? Oh, God. All right. Target one monster in the opponent's graveyard and banish it. And if you do, until the end of the next turn, its effects are negated, as well as the activated effects and effects on the field of monsters with the same original name. If you banish it from the graveyard, until the end of the next turn, its effects are negated. What? This is a weird line. How is it having... So did it create an effect that was ongoing when it went to the graveyard, like a static effect that now is no longer happening?
So it's like a lingering effect. So if you banish a card with Called by the Grave, that effect, until the end of the next turn, so that would also mean it, like, it's like this lingering effect that like lasts until like the next turn. So you kind of have to remember that it's like in effect, which is kind of annoying.
If something has, when this goes to the graveyard until the end of your next turn something, and then you play this on it, does that effect go away? Does that lingering effect get overruled by this lingering effect?
Sure. So for instance, like, let's say there's a card that just goes to the graveyard that says like, when this goes to the graveyard, draw a card, right? You can, in response to that, activate Call by the Grave to exile that card or banish it, and that way the effect, it negates that effect of what that monster would have done. So it's like it's like a force of will for the graveyard in a way.
I can't believe how touchy you guys are about your graveyards. Oh my God. It's no trespassing signs all over these graveyards. This got limited? Oh my goodness. Isn't somebody trying to pop off too hard where they have one in the graveyard and then another on the field and their whole deck is around this thing? Isn't making that a little tricky a good thing? Like, why can't we stop these people? Why do they have to get to play their little graveyard combo monsters in order to be happy?
Limited. That's if it's still limited.
It does feel, this one even more so than the, like, exile everything. I can see why that, like, it hits such a wide amount of decks, you know? So I can see how people could get upset with that and not want it around. And now that's fine, because it's a trap and it's slow.
Well, this is for context, this is a quick play spell. So this is our equivalent of an instant. So you can do this at instant speed.
Yeah, but it's also really specific. It has to hit the thing when it's in the graveyard, and then it turns off its effects. And I'm assuming often because people are trying to assemble 2 or 3 of these things, because it's an effect that they want consistently. And it says you have to take another turn before you do that. That feels, that's like good interaction to me.
Okay.
So
it could be good interaction. You don't know.
Yeah, it could be. But I'm just already bracing myself for no, we absolutely have to be able to do our things. Take a turn. That's a death sentence, CGB. That's insane. I'm already bracing for it.
You want me to help you out?
A little.
You should know this card from a video we've done before.
Effect Veiler, a tuner. Oh, yeah, let's go. Okay. During your opponent's main phase, quick effect, you can send this card from your hand to the graveyard, then target one effect monster your opponent controls, negate the effects of that face-up monster your opponent controls until end of turn.
Put it together.
So it's a counter to Effect Veiler.
It's a counter to hand traps generally, because all hand traps require you to discard them to the graveyard from your hand as cost. So because of that, it hasn't resolved yet. It's on the stack. Called by the Grave can be used as Chain Link 2, or the next card on the stack, to exile that hand trap, and now it negates the effect of that hand trap.
It's protection for your combo, a counter for a counter.
With some other like versatility, because like it doesn't have to just be for hand traps. You can go after graveyard stuff. And, you know, there's like cute tricks you can do with this card.
In Magic, this would be totally fine.
And maybe it's totally fine in Yu-Gi-Oh. Maybe it's totally fine in Yu-Gi-Oh.
It wouldn't even be the best version of this effect. Like our version of this in Magic, I mean, it does it. It's actually free, and it would go through the opponent's hand and deck and exile all of the cards of that name.
Okay.
Just gone.
Okay.
Like it would be, and that card is fine. That's
You seem
the
like
good guy.
flabbergasted by these last few. This is great.
This is so. I mean, everybody's playing hand traps now. We've talked about how many there are. So obviously, there's a market for this
And
card.
this is a newer card for content.
It's a newer card.
Yeah, like I newer relatively. I think it was released 2016, 2017. So it's like it's still oldish, but it's not as old as most of the cards I've shown you in this video.
So why would they unrestrict it in a hand trap world? Is it because, I mean, if everybody's running hand traps, then does everybody trying to push through a combo just upgrade to Called by the Grave? And it's only limited. So if it's already fine, it's in the format, what does unlimiting it do? It's good enough. It's not banned.
It's not banned.
What does unlimiting it do? It makes it possible to lock these cards out turn after turn. It makes it possible to have multiples, but you don't really need more than one. Like if you banish one of those cards, you're just having a second one doesn't help you because you already turned off the others.
If there's multiple hand traps with different names, having a second one could be useful.
I suppose so, but in each case, it's like very interesting. Like picturing like the stack in Yu-Gi-Oh! And how many hand traps go into Called by the Graves and vice versa, and the back and forth fighting. Man, I could see a format with this. I could see a format without it.
That's why I saved it for last. I figured this one would be interesting.
I think this is one where I could even say, like, I could call like a really bold shot and be like, it's not limited in Asia and it's limited here or something like that.
Sure, you can do that for a lot of these cards, though. To be fair,
yeah. It's such a down the middle. I'll go with that they unlimited it and see what happened.
Final answer?
Sure.
People fucking hate this card.
I bet they do.
So the biggest issue with this, like, you know that we have hand traps, which again is like having like 20 Force of Wills or whatever. The biggest issue with Called by the Grave is that it invalidates the fact that hand traps exist, essentially. So let's go back to the example of the combo deck that's trying to kill you on the first turn or set up an unassailable board that like you can't overcome, right? They're doing their thing. You're like, oh, I have my hand trap that's going to stop them at X point because you know where the choke point is in the combo, let's say. You activate that hand trap, and then they just windmill slam Called by the Grave and just invalidate the fact that you have a way to answer their actual removal. Now, you could just say, like, get good, kid, right? But it feels really bad when, let's say that's your only hand trap, because, like, we don't have a mulligan in our game. So say you were unfortunate and, like, you're playing your 20 Force of Wills and you only drew one of them, that this one card that they also happen to play just completely just negates the fact that they have the ability to stop your combo. And then they just get FDK'd and they lose and they get pissed and they just leave the venue, right? So, like, in theory, this card is, like, really well designed because there's a lot of cool applications for it. Like, it does stop the hand traps, but, like, it also goes after stuff just in the graveyard generally. It's really cool because it's, like, if there's a monster in the graveyard and a monster on the field that have the same name, if the monster on the field is activating its effect, you can banish the one in the graveyard with Called by the Grave to negate the on-field effect that's being activated. So that's, like, a really cool interaction with the card. There's like really cool stuff you can do with it, but the fact that it invalidates hand traps, which is one of our main forms of interaction, is why people hate this card to fucking pieces, because it just feels so bad, because you're like, oh, I have the way to stop them, but like they happen to draw this card that stops your way to stop them, right? And so as a result, this card is limited. It is still limited.
So why is it still limited and not banned?
Great question, CCP. What a wonderful question. If I could call up Konami on the phone right now and ask them that, I think I would, because a lot of people hate this card.
It seriously just makes the experience that you're describing worse.
It does, precisely, which is why a lot of people want this card banned.
That's why I was like, why would you limit it if you want this kind of back and forth? If you don't want this back and forth, you ban it, because it's like even nastier if they drew their one.
Wow, that's so interesting that you say that. If only like they actually listened to that and just banned the card outright. There's another card that basically does what Called by the Grave does that they also printed, and that card is also limited for the same reasons. And again, you could ask, why don't they just ban it? Great fucking question. We have no idea why they don't ban it, because everyone wants them to ban it.
Gorgeous, amazing.
The best part about this card, I will end on a happy note. You know, the best part about this card is that it stops Max C.
I love it.
Yep. That's and like
that card.
And Max C is legal in Master Duel, and this is one of the only ways to like not lose to Max C. So that is like one reason people love it, but aside from that, everyone else hates it.
Oh yes. Kill Max C. That should be how we judge our formats.
Precisely.
How bad can we make Max C?
Exactly. Well, I mean, that's another card that they should just straight up ban, but that is not for this video. But now you got a glimpse into some of our restricted cards. What do you think? We're a bunch of babies still?
Sometimes that's the weird thing. Some of them make sense, like there's a philosophy, and others it's like I honestly don't know. I don't know what makes them take
back. Never before could a vacuum adjust its size to fit into hard to reach places. Patented Murray Tech allows you to clean everything from the biggest messes to the smallest crumbs. One size fits all. And what you really need most in a vacuum cleaner is friendship. Your family will love the new addition. Mom, you won't have to leave the kitchen for the house to be spotless. And your kids will have a friend for life. Murray's Marvelous Clean-O-Vac. Order one today and make your family a happy one.
And that's that one. Put these all away. I'm not gonna go in the moon yet. I'm gonna get some more collectibles. Theoretically, there's no advantage to doing moon early, because if progression is tied to collectibles, then you would always want to make sure you have just a workshop. All the collectibles, right? You could just strictly do it all at once. But I do like doing it here and there just because it makes it a little bit less tedious later. Oh, we get some mail. We got a record. I will read the mail. There's no reason to delay reading that. Peter, one more injury. Ralph went to the hospital last night. That suit is going to be the death of one of us. One more injury and I'm out of here. I mean it this time. Alright, let's go this way instead. Useless. Let's go this way instead. Feeder. I'm assuming this is the workshop. And this is gonna be the thing that's gonna hunt me down. South Hall. Okay, I was right. So, you could have just gone directly to the workshop, which I didn't. I went for the feeder. But by going the way I did, I indirectly unlocked things you couldn't access otherwise. Which is probably going to come up later. There's probably areas, like, there was like one door that we couldn't get into because it's the next level of access. I don't like these guys. I feel like they're a little too close to like Shy Guys for me. You got mail. This area looks fun. Yeah, this area looks fun. Even in an ironic, sarcastic way. Oh, God. Load me up. Don't get caught. Lift requires spring lock suit. That sounds horrible.
David, I want to introduce you to someone. This is M1.
Why did it look like that?
Look like what?
It's scary.
Oh, it's an endoskeleton. It won't alter like this. It'll wear fun costumes.
Like what?
Anything you want. It can fit into any costume we've created. Think of it as your new babysitter. But it doesn't get paid and go home. It'll stay with us and help around the house.
I wonder, I guess I could have been using these this entire time. I knew they had to have been like a game mechanic. I just haven't had the... I mean, I just walked around the animatronics. It's not a big deal.
If you're assigned to run the demonstration, please follow the demo instructions. A completed director suit is required. Use the costume lift to access the theater booth. It won't operate unless you're wearing the suit. Once you're in place, the stage manager program will guide you through the demonstration. Good luck. Oh, I mean, break a leg. Sorry.
Yeah, it sounds about right for a spring crab suit. More like break all your bones in your body. Okay, so we need to collect pieces of the Springtrap suit.
Hey, Arnold. The system says you need a suit to get into the theater.
Yeah, I know. But I need to find pieces. So, are they all out here? One area was closed off, though. Spell check. Spelling is fine. I don't think it's that big of a problem. The spelling actually helps us when it comes to possible copyright issues. Oh yes, the Games Workshop route. Double L spelling protects us, and nobody will know us anyway. Ed, how many times did I tell you mycelium only has one L? Now all the marketing images are misspelled. Our clients are going to think we make mistakes and don't pay attention to the details. Is there any way to fix it now? Pieces of updated Captain Springlock suit can be found in the workshop. Full suit required to enter feeder backstage. Start assembly. So maybe now those areas will open up. Yes. I also assume the Mimic's gonna be playing about. Ooh, mail. No, don't bother, I'm getting mail. No, that's not good. That's not good. Can I... Is there a shortcut back, or... I would assume so. Chains will make noise. There's another leg there also. If I can get to it. And there's another part right there. Get this mail, because it's probably not gonna see me in here. Hopefully. Okay. We're good. We have a full, very useful loop. You didn't see me? Oh god, you are relatively fast, aren't you? Move, 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 move. Give me a leg. The vast majority of parts should all be within this whole span of an area. Give me another leg. Give me a appendage. It's a cannon arm, of course. I'm assuming your other arm is up here. So this is where you can go for the chains. The chains make noise. That's why I didn't bother going for that. This is the head. Some more mail over here. This is the other arm. Oops. Okay, now we need to get that head. Easy peasy. And then I'm gonna read the mail we picked up. We need to go. Me and Stan are out of here. It's time to jump ship before things get ugly. I have a bunch of Fiona's character rep patterns. Stan is taking what he can. Join us. With everything we know about the restaurant project, we can start our own machine shop. My weekend vacations request was refused. I quit. Tell Jake I'll be back for my things on Monday. Sales pitch rejected. Well, this is the order of needed. Mr. Murray, Bob in marketing has an amazing idea. Costumes are great for sports teams and high school pep rallies. We can almost double our sales and murders. Output if we contacted schools. I will await your reply. Next Freddy game? No, not for sports use and not for personal use either. Sports never did anything good for me, so I'm not doing anything good for sports. Someone's bitter. Maybe you should have been good at sports.
Hey, Arnold. The system says you need a suit to get into the theater.
Energize. I am creating my own boss monster. Yeah, this seems fun. Can I shoot? Ho 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 ho! Okay, right click takes you out. Left click takes you in. Cannot sprint. That was a missed opportunity. Hello, my fellow animatronics. I too am a mimic. So you're gonna have to eventually get out of this eventually. But till then, I'm gonna enjoy myself. So what happens if I go over here? Pom Pom Purring is cuter than you. Okay, I'm in. So it's definitely got to be collectible out there because there's a drop-off point. What? 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 What's wrong with you? What, there's a human around here? I didn't see any. That's silly. I need to go over and crawl. There's a whole area back there. I need that for something. Yeah, well, if you crawled through here, it would have not accomplished anything. This is just the return route. But they put a thing to collect something. Okay. Please work with me. Come on. Come on. Oh my god. Oh my god. There we go. There we go. There. You can't get up this simply short step. It's out of your power. Now we have power. We have to get back to our suit. No! Gee, I wonder if you're out there. Can I crawl into these? I can crawl between them. So kind of. Hello, my fellow, whatever you are. I'm leaving now. Goodbye. Yeah, I feel like there's gotta be like a secret gift box or something in here, but I could be wrong. Because why give you access to the inventory? Like, what could you... Well... I don't know. Well, whatever. All I can think of is maybe if you somehow came in here with an item, you could still deposit it to then grab the thing to put into the puzzle.
Run demonstration pre-show.
I feel so tall. Yes. I don't want to drop down yet, if at all. Back here. Okay, let's get some mail. recording.
Oh, why did you go? You weren't even supposed to be there. You were supposed to be here, me and David. Oh, how am I supposed to tell David that his mother is gone? How am I supposed to raise a kid on my own? His life is ruined. My life is ruined.
Okay. Projector issues. Lee, the projector is down again in the theater. I swear this stupid show is cursed. What was Edwin thinking making this kid's thing? Plus, those things just creep me out. Alright, let's get going.
Welcome, potential investors and buyers. Are you thinking of getting into the children's television entertainment space? Are the costs, writers, crew, and puppeteers holding you back? Then, boy, have we got some news for you. Welcome to the MCM television studio of the future. Here, there's no need for a cast or crew. Our patented Stage Manager software keeps your show on track and condensed to fit your broadcast time slot, including commercial breaks. If writers have you blocked, use an MCM story template. Simply supply the Stage Manager with the desired character names, location, and genre. It writes itself. Additional story templates available for purchase. What about...
We gotta knock that down.
Well, we remove the talent. No difficult puppeteers, demanding actors, or movie directors needed. Our system is drama-free. Simply interact with the performance by shooting targets to progress the story. And of course, you'll save a fortune on production costs. The MCM studio comes equipped with automated cameras, props, and lights. See filler audience included at additional cost. This example show is written and performed by a single costumed writer, director, cameraman, puppeteer, producer in front of an automated studio audience.
Okay. That's broken. I'm gonna go into maybe the pauses. I think we're fine right now. Maybe not. Maybe I'm gonna actually want to go back. Moving on. Ken, after one interview, they offered me the job. It happened so quick. No questions about my work or skills. They asked one question. When can you start? I'm going to make double what I make here. You should come with me. There's a referral bonus. We can get more Murray employees to jump ship.